Hey everyone, it is Tanya, your personal credit coach. In this video, we're going to tackle something that is holding a lot of people back: evictions and apartment debt collections. If you've been denied for an apartment, you've been turned down for a loan, and your credit score is tanked because of an eviction, then this video is for you. And I've got some notes for you. Now, I've been getting a lot of messages from people who feel stuck, and I am seeing a lot of people posting on different social media forums. They're needing to move out, they need to get a new place, and every time they apply for a place, the eviction shows up, even when it's not on their credit report. So what I'll do in this video is walk you through some steps you can take to dispute and remove evictions and apartment collections from your credit report and legally dispute what's holding you back. By the end of this video, you'll understand why evictions often don't show up on credit reports, where landlords actually get your tenant history, how to dispute an eviction, what federal law says a debt collector must do when you challenge debt, and just how to use all of this knowledge to dispute an eviction. Because the goal is to get that record cleaned up and your life back on track. Now, this is the same method that I teach in my eviction dispute DIY course. I just go deeper. So if you want to go deeper, grab it today. Link is in the description. I'll pin it to comments, or you can go to creditcoachtanya.com. So let's start with step number one: understanding eviction records and apartment debt. Most people don't realize this, but not all evictions show up on a credit report. Most of them don't. You can pull your Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion report and you don't see anything at all, but the landlord's still denying you. Why? Because they're using something else. You see, landlords rely on tenant screening databases, not just your credit report. So these are companies like CoreLogic, RentGrow, SafeRent, TransUnion, SmartMove. And I've got the complete list of these tenant screening databases in the course. These companies will create separate rental reports that include things like court eviction filings, broken leases, apartment collections, and sometimes even noise complaints or roommate disputes that you might have received. This is why credit repair companies fail here when it comes to disputing evictions. They don't go deep. They may at best target the big three credit bureaus. But if you're not disputing with the rental screening databases, you're wasting your time and they're wasting your time. So, step number two, you need to locate the source of that eviction. And this is going to be your first action step. You can go to the landlord or property manager who denied you and ask them, which tenant screening service did they use? Most will tell you if you ask directly. And then once you know, you can contact the tenant screening bureau and request a copy of your report. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you are entitled to a free report every 12 months. And you can dispute anything that's inaccurate, incomplete, or unverifiable on that report. So why is this important? Well, once you get the report, you'll see exactly what's showing up, and that's what you need in order to be able to dispute. This step alone can help you spot and get outdated, inaccurate, or even mistaken identity entries deleted, and that is going to be the foundation of your dispute. Step three, you want to dispute the eviction record. So once you've identified the tenant screening database that is reporting the eviction, here's how you can dispute it. You will send a written dispute to the tenant screening company. Make sure to include a copy of your ID, proof of your current address, and a detailed letter explaining what's inaccurate, incomplete, or unverifiable. And if you have any supporting documents like a lease, rent receipts, or court documents, that's always helpful. Now, if there's a debt collector involved, send a dispute letter to them too. You want to challenge the accuracy with every party that is reporting this debt. Send it certified mail so you have proof that it was received. And I will tell you, anytime you send a letter to a debt collector, do not send a copy of your ID and do not send proof of your address. Just send the letter. Now, in my course, I do include letters where one of them with a debt collector, one with a tenant screening company, you're asking for a list of items, including a copy of your lease agreement, the addendums, the move-in and move-out checklist, date of first delinquency, and more. You want to ask for these items to, one, see if they really have them, because most of the time they cannot provide all of these items and documents that you're going to ask for, but also you're going to be checking for FDCPA violations. This is so key. And this takes me to step number 4. You want to leverage the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. So, under this act, debt collectors must do some things when you dispute debt. One of the things they must do is mark that account as being in dispute on your credit report. And they skip this step a lot. If they fail to mark the account as being in dispute within 30 to 45 days of having received your dispute, now they have violated federal law, specifically Section 807 of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Now, this is just one of many violations that you can use as leverage. And I include that list of violations that you want to look out for as you're sending out your rounds of letters. Now, I believe that there should just be 3 rounds. I think that's sufficient enough. A lot of times you're going to spot at least one violation, if not more. But by round 3, when you've got some violations underneath your belt, you've caught the debt collector breaking the laws, you're going to list those violations in what's called a pre-demand letter. And a pre-demand letter, you're basically letting a debt collector know, you're putting them on notice that they have violated federal law by violating whatever laws you've caught them violating. Let's say they didn't update the account status as being in dispute. So you would list that they have violated federal law by not updating the account as being in dispute. I'm therefore requesting deletion of this account off my credit report, or I will escalate this further. Now, the more disputes you have, or the more violations you have that you can list in this letter, the more powerful that letter becomes. Now, you can even file a complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB. Debt collectors have registered agents. That's a powerful leverage to use, disputing or sending a letter to their registered agent letting them know that the debt collector has violated laws. You have options. You do have power. So the next thing that you're going to want to do, step 5, is review the documents that they send back to you. The debt collectors or the tenant screening company by now should have sent documents to you so that you can validate the eviction or the amount that they're claiming you owe. If they don't send you every document that you've asked for, file a CFB complaint regarding this. That oftentimes will get them to either send you what you request, or they'll delete the account from your credit report because they know they don't have all the documents and they don't want the trouble. And in my course, I again provide you with a pretty powerful letter that has, I think, 9 or 10 specific documents and items that a debt collector needs to give you. And this is just where most people give up, but not you. There are a lot of things to look for in between that paperwork. And in this video, I'm going to go through just a few of them, but I do have them listed in the course. Duty to mitigate damages. Landlords are often required by law to try and re-rent an apartment if you leave that apartment early. If they didn't even try to rent it again, or they didn't do so in a timely manner, they may not be legally allowed to charge you the full lease. So Google the words duty to mitigate damages plus your state so that you can see your local laws, including occupancy laws. You also want to review the completeness of the lease. You want to make sure all the pages of the lease are included and signed by all parties, you, the landlord, or property manager. If there are any addendums that were listed in the lease, you want to make sure that those are also included and signed by all parties. You want to research, know, and just be aware of your local laws because you want to see if the landlord or property manager was compliant or broke the laws. You also want to examine payment records like the deposit fees, the move-in fees. You want a complete ledger of payments because you want to analyze fees and charges to make sure that these charges comply with the terms that are outlined in the lease, especially when it comes to late fees, breaking of lease fees, and non-refundable fees. Step 6, know your state tenant laws. And this is one of the biggest steps that people skip, and most credit repair companies don't even go there. Every state has different rules for how evictions must be served, how much notice is required, whether landlords must mitigate damages, what fees are allowed. You're going to want to research this with your state and use that information to either dispute unfair charges or possibly even get the eviction removed altogether if procedures weren't followed. And here's a pro tip. If the landlord broke the law, even a small one, you may be eligible to get that eviction dismissed off your record completely. Step 7, what to do if you don't get a response. Well, if the tenant screening company or a debt collector ignores you, which oftentimes they do, here are your next steps. File a complaint with the CFPB or the registered agent to the debt collector and let them know that you were not provided with the documents. Send a pre-demand letter. This outlines all of the issues from the missing documentation to any FDCPA violations that you see. You'll send this letter to a debt collector and it'll put pressure on them to resolve this before you escalate this legally. Collectors do not like being contacted in this way, and it oftentimes can be the final push that they need to just delete the account. Step 8, please don't skip this. Before you apply for your next apartment, request your tenant screening report in advance and make sure the eviction has been removed. Even if it's off of your credit report, it can still live in these rental databases for years if it's not disputed. If the debt is still showing, you may decide to negotiate. You can ask a debt collector for a pay for delete agreement or a settlement in exchange for deletion or in exchange for the violations that you caught them in. You want to get everything in writing. So you can take back control. It is possible to fight an eviction. You need the right strategy. You need the right language and the right tools. So again, start with the tenant screening databases. Send disputes with support documents if possible. Watch out for FDCPA violations, especially the not marking the account as being in dispute. Research your state's tenant laws and occupancy data to challenge the debt. Send a pre-demand letter if a debt collector is ignoring you. File complaints with the CFPB, the registered agent. Heck, you can even escalate to small claims if needed. And if you want help walking through this step by step, grab my eviction DIY kit. It has the sample letters, guides, and instructions to help make this process way easier. Link is in the description, or you can go to creditcoachtanya.com. And if you have questions, drop them in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications because we're not done yet.